bless my son. Jackie's been behind stage for 10 minutes, she said.
Hey, everybody. Guess what? It's the Boomers meets Gen Xers comedy face-off show number 3. Here it is. Yeah. And we have some great comedians facing off for you today, this afternoon, tonight, depending on your time zone. Okay. And we have for you Erica and Abby facing off on the topic of vices and devices, with Phyllis and Laura facing off on facing off on the. Now he calls me back. This is so funny. I've been of all times to call you back. I got, more than 24 hours doesn't come up. Now he calls me back. Okay. And Phyllis and Laura facing off on the topic of sex and dating. I'm going to bring on to the stream a very special guest. Okay. He was a radio show host of comedy show called Absolutely Absurd in the late 90s and early 2000s. And on 1280 AM radio in Montreal has produced comedy shows and to raise money since 2010 all over Montreal. And he's our special guest judge for this evening. Please welcome the famous, notorious, out in the boot, Mr. Montreal out in the boot, Mark Spires. Hi, Mark. Say hello to the gang.
It's so much female flesh here for anticipating Valentine's Day. I'm actually, I'm with the women today.
Yeah.
I hope we don't become intimidated.
Tracy for tuning in. And, we got thumbs up from Tracy. Okay. Okay, so I am a boomer, which doesn't mean that I need Depends diapers. One morning I was crying. My wife woke up and she found me crying. She's crying. She said, Jeffrey, why are you crying? She said, I'm crying because I'm old. And she says, well, what the heck do you think I am? Shirley Temple from the Good Ship of Lollipops? So, yeah. So I consider myself to be a minimalist. I only listen to half of what my wife tells me. You have a problem when you and your wife or husband leave your house when you forget the car keys, and it's a little bit embarrassing because honey bear, in order for this relationship to work, one of us needs to not be demented. The first time having safe sex, I lost the combination.
Oh.
I had a girlfriend who was an existentialist. She liked to question whether or not I should exist. I had this girlfriend once. She had a very strange take on climate change. So whenever she get excited, she'd call out, "It's raining in my forest." Lately I've been Zooming, but I'd rather do meditation. I used to do transcendental meditation every day until I accidentally transcended myself into onto the set of a very bad porn flick. And then then after a while, I corrected that by zooming myself into an actually good porn movie. I was very happy to come on the scene. My wife got me a laptop, tablet phone, and another tablet. So whenever she gets tired of me, she just goes in another room and leaves me to my own devices. I don't believe in organized religion, but I do believe in disorganized religion. I believe that people should be able to pray anywhere they want and be fruitful and multiply anywhere they want. And also, I like to call myself the Minute Man because that's how long my erection usually lasts. And ladies, I have to give you a disclaimer, warn you in advance that to all the ladies out there, whoever's watching, my recovery time in sex is 24 hours. And my medical recovery is 30 minutes. Okay, so we're going to bring on our first comedian today. And we're going to bring her on. Very excited to bring her on. She has been performing and promoting stand-up comedy in Honolulu for 10 years and started the Female Comics of Hawaii group in 2011. She currently runs a Tuesday live show and hosts a Friday online anarchy mic. Please welcome this very funny lady, Erica Schwarzkopf.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Yeah, aloha from Hawaii here. You're all in Hawaii right now. So boomers versus Gen X, yeah. Boomer, please. My opportunity to say that. I am in my early 50s, but it's actually the perfect age. I can not only fuck 21-year-olds, I can also get the senior discount at the checkout by accident. If you're going to tell me to spend less money, I'm not going to argue. I will be whatever age you want. I'm an actress. I can be that age. Just give me a minute to get it together. The character. That's all. So I grew up in the 70s pretty much, and my parents were boomers, and we were the latchkey generation, right? Awesome! So when we would go over to friends' houses or whatever, the kids would run off and be with the kids, and the parents would be with the parents. So you didn't have to be best friends with your kids or any shit. And we love that. And to be honest, I really don't trust millennials because they weren't raised on Love Boat episodes. That's where I learned comedy. They were raised by their own damn parents. I'm so sorry for them. So sorry. But I work the phones for a pretty big company. I'm the front line, and most of the customers are boomers. So, and maybe that's why, because they're so loud. But I'm a comic, and I can be louder than them. So sometimes it's a little bit of a competition, but I always win. I always win. I'm not saying that boomers are a little out of it with technology, especially. But the other day, one of them asked me what the phone number for Uber was. And the funny thing about that is I couldn't explain why I couldn't give them the phone number. Couldn't do it. Like, forget it. Call a cab. Bye. And sometimes talking to boomers, have you ever been gaslighted by someone that tells you you don't know what gaslighting means? Yeah. I feel like that was my entire childhood. A lot of kids' movies in the 70s, though, were a lot of them starring Jodie Foster, would be the parents were out of sight and nowhere to be seen. It didn't really have anything to do with the movie, and the movie was the kids. The whole thing was the kids trying to overcome the parents. That's pretty much. You don't see that these days. The funny part is that those movies were put together by boomers. Okay, and this other thing, I run open mics here in Hawaii, and in this one particular mic, over a series of 5 years, I had 2 boomers show up, and every single week would do a TED Talk with no punchlines. Every single week for 5 years. We rooted for them, we gave them advice, but every single time, it was just them trying to learn, trying to listen to themselves talk with no punchlines. What else do I? Oh, I actually left my husband about a year ago, and I was dating young guys. But ultimately, that didn't work out. I got back together with my husband. Because I was thinking, well, if we did get married, me and some young guy, he would just ghost me at the wedding. So, yeah, might as well forget that. I feel like boomers are like in the Charlie Brown cartoons, and they are in the background. Wah, 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 wah. Wow, 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 wow. Well, the kids are talking and planning, and yeah. So yeah, that's the soundtrack of the boomers' voice. I got while I was dating, I got a mood ring. I was feeling boomerish and all hippie-like, because I wanted to know what the color for desperate was. Yeah. And then the fake ass stone fell out. So yeah, my dating went great. It was no problem. The dating was awesome. But I am 53 years old here, and I really think the gift of getting older is to give less fucks. That's not a joke, it's the truth. Let's give up for that. The problem with getting older is you get less fucks. And then you're dead. But then you're dead and you are fucked, but you're not around to enjoy it. I don't know. I don't know about all that. Kind of crazy. The thing about more things about the boomers, a lot of them have money and we don't. Gen X never had money. And that was, we didn't have money before the recession. We just never had money. So it's kind of good. We never missed it. Boomers are kind of like Chinese firecrackers. They make a lot of noise and don't really do any fucking thing. Yeah. And they also think authority is not necessarily experience. Yeah. Good thing about Gen X, though, is we're better with communications, better with technology. My mom is on Facebook, and I don't know if you have a mom on Facebook, but I thought she was the perfect Facebook mom. She liked everything I said and did. And she's a boomer, yeah. But she never commented on anything, ever, psychotically. Until last year. And she said, you know, when you're on Facebook, do you have to press enter after you comment? So she had been commenting for 10 years. Had seen her comments till now. But now we can. I can't go back. I can't go back. I want to tell her I was just kidding. That's not how don't press enter. No. My mom finally got an iPhone, though. and she was at the store and they had an amazing deal. She got one. He was showing her the Wi-Fi in the store. She went home and the Wi-Fi didn't work. She thought it lived in the phone. Yeah. Finally told her that. And to this day, she can't post a picture to Facebook. Can't do it. Nope. She did once by accident and that was it. Also, baby boomers don't want to order things online. Gen X people want to order every fucking thing online. I'm not wrong. It's just easier and I don't want to go to the mall. They can close the mall. Goodbye. Be happy. If I never have to set my foot in a store again, hallelujah. I'm so happy. What else? We're self-sufficient, though, Gen X. We are, and but we have vices, just like the boomers. Yeah, the boomers' vices were cigarettes, and I just barely got out of that shit. But it, you know, in the 80s and 90s, you might as well have smoked cigarettes, because if you were in a crowded bar, you will go home smelling like it, whether you smoked or not. The millennials have no idea about this, and just don't tell them. It's fine. Anyway, I am just going to wrap it up right there. Just aloha from Hawaii. If you visit here, I'd love to get you on my Tuesday show or come to the Anarchy. Thanks so much, Jeff and everybody. Aloha.
Aloha.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Erica. That was very good. And next, we're going to bring on our next comedian. And calling herself Dr. Bubby Abbey. Well, at least she succeeded in one of these titles. With her PhD in public health, she ruffled too many feathers for being too darn private. Originally from Brooklyn, she has been known all over her hilarious comic antics, from Georgia to Colorado to Austin, Texas, and San Diego, where she now resides, appearing in live shows and online. She is the grandmother of comedy and a doctor of humor. Please welcome the sensational Dr. Bubby Abbey November.
Oh, what an intro. What an intro, Jeff. And I only had to give him a blowjob to say that, but that's besides the point. It was a long distance one, but that's so. Mark, don't get so crazy. Put your hand down. You can play with Mr. Happy while I'm talking. And we invented Mr. Happy, by the way, because, him too. Oh, we should set him up with my Bubby doll.
Yeah. I'll let Bubby give you a kiss on the cappy.
That's head. Okay. Hopefully there's no anti-Semites in the group. If there are, fuck them. And I have ADD, but I'm also a Bubby, also known as Super Bubby, Laura. And what is the difference? Well, I birthed between my legs two, not one, but two boomers. Not boomers. No, I'm a boomer. Gen X's or whatever they are. I don't know. You know, the 60s were good to me, Mark. Oh, I remember Woodstock. And they said if you remember it, you weren't there. But I remember the back seat of a 57 Chevy. Let me tell you. Well, I really can't tell you because I was on top. Didn't see much, but whoa, that smell of the marijuana, as my grandmother called it. Anyway, we read books. We have books. Boomers read books, not little things on electronics that I can't figure out. I don't know what to press. You press things, you're good with your fingers. You'll have an extra finger. We'll see a finger and some glasses because they don't know how to look at people's eyes, right? It's all on the computer. I know because I'm a Luddite and I had to look up Luddite, but that's what I am and I'm proud of it. Boomers of the world, Luddites of the world, unite. Okay, look, I'm starting with this. This is coffee, plain old coffee. I come from New York originally, small town in New York, Phyllis, you may have heard of Brooklyn. and coffee. And now, and I see your mic's off, so you're not listening to the old girl, but that's okay. You should live and be well to 120. Let me tell you now, Mark, all the young people, it's not just, you just can't order coffee. It's either latte, chocolate, latte uki, and mocha this without that, and gluten free, and farm raised coffee. And oh my goodness, it's not, and you could get refills. You go into a coffee shop in Manhattan in the 1960s and you ask for coffee. You know what? You got free refills. Now, what did they look at you? They'd spit at you. It's $4.50 for a cup of coffee, right? Starbucks. And then you'd ask for a refill, $4.50. That's just one of my pet peeves. It's the books versus Kindle, Schmindle. I will get an EMP, that's an electronic pulse, magnetic pulse. We lose everything, nothing. All your bank records are kaput. But the boomers, we have paper. We have a paper trail. I have an 8x11 piece of paper and a pencil. That's my computer. I worked in an office in the great state of Texas, and we had to write out a document. And my staff looks at me and they said, "Oh, the computer's down. We can't do anything." I said, "Duh, the original computer, a number 2 pencil, and an 8x11 line paper. Fuck it, there you are. What is the matter with you people?" Oh, and the young people. My daughter lives in Boulder, Colorado, where it's all touchy-feely, and all that. I'm not going to say touchy-feely. Jill gets all aroused. But I can't, let me tell you, they are nuts. They're so into natural and everything. And she runs. I don't know why she runs. A Jewish girl doesn't run unless a Nazi's chasing you. She runs. Do you know what she did, Laura, for her 50th birthday? She ran rim to rim in the Grand Canyon. Who does that? Who? Why? She says, "Oh, I always wanted to." Well, I always wanted to fly, but you don't see me putting a propeller on my head or on my head. I don't know what's wrong with you kids today. Too much electronics. Very little. It's a high-tech, low-touch world now, and it sucks. And I can't talk about Vice because he didn't put me onto the sexuality part, because Jeffrey Lawrence says, old people like you don't have sex. I'll have you know, if I wasn't here talking to you schmucks, I would be having wild sex with my vibrator. But I don't have a vibrator like you young people, young girls, because vibrator is a young thing, right? Laura, I know it's double D batteries. We didn't have that in the old days. We used candles. And if you were Amish, you used twigs. Not that I'm Amish, but the candles, and then you use the wax for something else. Anyway, so they had vibrators, they have electronics. What would happen if they didn't have electronics? Anyway, and another thing, boomers, we bring you Depends. Brought to you, this section has been brought to you by Depends. And let me tell you, the advertising people are being nice to boomers, because they have thong-shaped Depends. Jeff, when you get really old and your wife and you want something sexy, you get a black lace thong-shaped Depends. I mean, isn't that sexy? That's a turn on if I ever heard it. But in the old days, what would you do? Wear a mattress or something? I don't know. But we brought you that. And I want to tell you, in the old days, not that I knew Shakespeare directly, but Shakespeare was a very smart man, Phyllis. He told us all about human nature. And one of the things that I got out of his Shakespeare's talk, he said, from Julius Caesar. Yeah, you're all looking like I got leprosy, because I'm Jewish, I have glasses. I'm a book learner. Shakespeare, he knew people. He said, Jan Cassius has a lean and hungry look. Such men are dangerous. And that's when he said, don't trust anyone with a flat tushy. And I think you can get that point. And that became my mother's motto. So if you have a nice sized tush, We can trust you. And all these things about losing weight, they got really crazy in the 60s and 70s, and the young people had Twiggies. But you know what my mother and me feel? Am I bothering you, Mark?
No.
He's his hand like that. He said, too much of that old Jewish. He's God. I'll be 77, God willing. I know oh, put him away. Stop playing with that. I'll show you mine if you show me yours, Mark.
You should have listened to me the first time.
Okay. So Mark is distracting me. I don't know what he's doing. Told him about Shakespeare and the cars that you have now. You have flying cars, electric cars. We had 3 cars, a Ford, a Chevy, a Model T, and that was it. That's all you needed. Now we have all these safety features. I can't even drive it. There's too many computers. My computer hates me. I have Alexa in the back. That's not for an old lady. And she goes on, only for my husband. She's turned on by him. She once said to him, get rid of that short, fat woman with the mustache and we'll have a good time. She doesn't recognize my voice. She calls me Bubby. I am not her grandmother. Don't even say it out loud. Don't say her name because she goes nuts. I asked her to play Elvis. She plays Frank Sinatra. I guess she thinks I'm really that old. Anyway, I don't know if I've given you a good excuse about why I should be the boomer of the year. Oh, let's see. I have no real hobbies other than kvetching and whining. And I do like to gamble. I like video poker, which they didn't have in the old days. So I play on a plain old machine. But now you have electronic gaming, and I have a grandson that's post GenX. He's probably what, Z? He games all night long, gaming and gaming. But I have to say one thing in finishing up, the kid is a genius. Before I leave, I have to tell you how brilliant he is. Not brilliant. I'm in the swimming pool when we're able to go swimming. He looks at me, which is really disgusting. It probably turned him off from women. He looks at me up and down and said, Bubby, what are those blue lines on your legs? But Mark, I was ready. I said, I get lost when I drive in San Diego. I had the map of San Diego tattooed to my legs. Up here is the zoo. Here's the pool. And down there where it's smelly and dirty, why, that's Tijuana. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Abby. Very good shoe. Very good shoe. Yeah. I never said that boomers like couldn't have sex, like old boomers. It's just that it's kind of like when you have an old Chevy, the car still runs, but you know, don't try to take it dragging down at your local shopping mall. So it's kind of like that. So we're going to bring up our next comedian. Okay, the next face-off is going to be starting right now. Get ready on sex and dating. And here we go. Okay. Phyllis Warren has performed at clubs and colleges all over the U.S. as well as in the Arctic Circle for the Department of Defense. Pre-pandemic, she performed whenever she was in New York at the Broadway Comedy Club, and prior to that was a regular at Dangerfield's Comedy Club. Please give a warm welcome to your screen.
Hi, I'm glad to be here. Actually, I think I'm a pre-boomer, but there's one thing I want to know. It used to be if a guy got a girl pregnant, it was a shotgun wedding, okay? Today, if a guy gets a girl pregnant, she becomes his fiance. So there you go, the difference between the two time periods. Let me start with my background, though. When I was younger, I dated widely. My first boyfriend was a redhead, an Irish setter. You see, I was the rebel. I felt my family lacked diversity. So I got engaged to a goat named Joey the Hoof. He was a big deal in the animal mafia, but it was not to be. My family, my parents forbade it because he wasn't Jewish. Then I dated high school football heroes, big men on campus, and Arthur Murray dance instructors. Before long, I was doing groups like the Pet Boys and the Smith Brothers, even the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Better make that 3 horsemen. One of them was gay. Okay. I even dated a werewolf. And you know, he never once mentioned his condition, though he did apologize for not shaving. In the 60s, I dated the mulch king of Chester County. Found out he had a hair weave. Then came the celebrities. There was Bruce Jenner, before he became Caitlyn anyway. Woody Allen's dresser, Dom DeLuise's dental hygienist. Listen, I came this close to being engaged to Che Guevara, but I had commitment issues and I couldn't sign the prenup. So, but here's a very interesting fact. Single women live longer than married women, but married men live longer than single guys who probably spear themselves to death on their toenails. So, see, you know, the thing that I love, though, is that we all come on the scene so naive, the dating scene, the sex scene. Like, for instance, girls, did you have any idea how boring a hand job was? I mean, come on. I mean, guys, do us a favor, leave the TV on. And did anyone ever mention, as much as you know about sex, to bring a towel? Nah, no. Now, I got a lot. I learned so much from my high school Chinese boyfriend, Wow Hung. When he finally located my G-spot, he highlighted it. But as I mentioned, I've had a big problem with commitment. I've actually been divorced twice. I've got an ex and a Dos Equis. My first husband, my starter husband, he passed away too young. I interrupted him to death. Do you know, he had the nerve to call me immature when he was the one that always hid my sippy cup. So anyway, but oh my God, my last husband, he was truly abusive. He'd say things to me like, wipe that smile off your face. Well, where else would it be? My ass? And he would say over and over again, your biggest problem is you always overreact. So I shot him. Anyway. So I do date younger guys. You were talking about that. Actually, some guy asked me out. I could have been his mother. Okay, I could have been his grandmother. And I wondered, what would it be like to discipline this kid? Go to your room. I'll meet you there in a minute. I was so embarrassed. When he came to pick me up, what my neighbors would think, I asked him to carry a Domino's box. So they would think he was delivering a pizza instead of me. Anyway, but let me think. I'll tell you where I draw the line with younger guys. I will not date a guy if I have to cut up his meat. That's where I draw the line. And we're going to have a little musical interlude now. This is a song I wrote called Men That I Slept With in My 30s. First boyfriend Stevie and first cousin Michael, Dr. Steinbrenner and guy on bicycle. New school professor and mime in the park. Short, skinny guy who I think was called Mark. Married man who did impressions while naked. He was so funny, but I always faked it. Black guy with afro and ex-con so bold. Handsome male model who usually drooled. Actor in park who sold pot as a sideline. Friend of his in park who sold pot as a... Wait a minute. You look familiar to me. Mark, didn't I sleep with you? I think so.
Maybe both of us.
Well, anyway, I'm going to just know that you're a real savvy group out there, and you know that size doesn't matter unless you want to have intercourse. I've been observing penises for like 50 years, and I'm still fascinated. I'm not saying they're pretty, but they are entertaining. I mean, girls, back me up. When guys walk around naked with all that bouncing and bobbing, isn't it a regular puppet show? If you look at that. Anyway, so last night my husband was playing with himself, and I said, "What?" He said, "Look, my balls are sticking to my penis, and I have to rearrange." If there are any guys out there, you never heard of Pam? Is that a problem, I mean? And I know some people are into anal sex. It's not my thing, but I do see one advantage. I wouldn't have to wear any makeup. So, and you know the term battle of the sexes? Well, that's very personal for me, because when my husband comes, the look on his face is like he's in terrible pain, not ecstasy. Agony. It's like I'm pulling out his fingernails. So I waited for the next time he came and yelled, "Smile!" It didn't end well. Anyway, I'm getting to the end of my routine, and I like to always say a brief word about oral sex. More. And a tip to you ladies to get your partners to give you oral sex: douche with vodka, you know. So I'm a big fan, and I but I feel like a bit of a hypocrite because I don't like to give it back. So I even wrote a protest song about it. It's called "Maybe for Your Birthday." But I'm a realist, and I know I don't have that much time left, so I decided to take matters into my own hands. I'm getting a tattoo on my labia, and it's going to say, "Best of Eden by 2021." And that's all I have. I thought that would be 10 minutes. It's almost. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. That was very Jewish of you. You economized on the time. Save, not only do we learn how to save money, we learn how to save time. So yeah. So Jewish men don't last very long in bed. Too distracted.
Speak for yourself, Jeffrey.
Yeah. Anyways, so thank you very much, Phyllis.
Woohoo!
Great performance. Good job. And we're going to bring in our next sensational act comedian. And here we go. Laura's intro. She's co-producer of the Comedy Tub in Chicago, which she never asked me to be on, just saying, parenthetically. But we still do love her anyway. This Chicago comic produced several shows and mics before the pandemic and produced Skyline Village, comedy on Zoom. She is bold, brash, and daring in her comedic style. Please welcome and give it up for Laura Hogg.
Thank you. I like that you asked me to send an intro, and then you read the last intro that I sent you. I just anyway. Thank you for adding that. Bold and brash. I didn't know you when the comedy. It's not running right now, so At least I have an excuse. All the other people I haven't booked, I don't have an excuse for them. But no, so. So I am here representing GenX, which I always think makes me seem really cool. It sounds like I don't pee a little when I run. But really now I realize that GenX really sounds like a medication that they would recommend to me for bone density issues, worried about the onset of osteoporosis, try GenX. And
Right.
you see me hitting a tennis ball. I want to thank the boomer generation for making divorce permissible. You guys did it, and I'm grateful, because I hope to be divorced one day after if I ever get married. But my mother, my parents were baby boomers. I will say I know that they struggled a lot, the post-war generation. My mom talks about how in her town they didn't have bell bottoms and she had to sew her own. I'm like, oh, Margaret, the sacrifices, My parents got divorced when I was young. I was raised with my mom. They were a single mother. There were 4 of us in the house, me, her, and her nipples. My mom never wore a bra my entire childhood, which, I'm all for peer-to-peer nipple action. But, when you're a kid, it's like, man, I don't want to be out here navigating the dating scene with you, Mom, and doing all the heavy lifting for it. Well, in her case, medium lifting. My dad is married again to my stepmom. They've been married for about 45 years. And they have argued the entire time. So I don't know. My dad and my stepmom are the kind of couple that fight all the time, including in front of you. Like they invite you over to the house and they put out drinks and snacks and all their personal business for you to enjoy. Finally, my stepmom couldn't take it anymore at the beginning of the pandemic. So she kicked my dad out of the house. My dad with his prescription knee socks for his, and he was in a hotel room, a motel, and he called me. He's like, your stepmother kicked me out and she got a restraining order against me. What do you think I should do? And I'm like, I think you should get a neck tattoo. Based on all the younger people I know, all the millennials I know with restraining orders, a lot of them have neck tattoos. So as far as dating and sex goes, I like to think I'm a tween. I've dated older, my age, and younger. So dating and sex, I'm a tween. So let's talk about who's been between my legs. I did date a guy who was a baby. He was a baby boomer. He was 60 something when I dated him. And but he was very sexy and attractive. I liked him. And he really liked dirty talk. And I liked it. I liked it when he called me a dirty little slut in bed. That turned me on. But when he did it at Whole Foods, that also turned me on. So I learned a lot about myself. He wanted to watch porn, like a lot of men really like porn. And I was willing to watch porn with him, except he wanted to watch his collection. And then that's when, I had to say, well, I don't own a reel-to-reel projector. So it was like, I had to show him how to use the computer. He, it didn't work out with him. And that was kind of, I was disappointed. I met him at my job. I work for a non-for-profit and he was a volunteer. And the thing that I didn't like about that was that even though we broke up, he kept volunteering. Um, and then I was like, I am never going to date somebody with principles again, because it's like, what can you say? Oh, I'm sorry that you broke my heart. Do you not mind not making the world a better place? Uh, and also, he had his new girlfriend come and pick him up a couple times. And I have to tell you, you all probably know this, but if you don't, never compare yourself to your ex's new partner because you'll never win. No matter what the truth is, you'll never win. I did it, and with her. And I can get blonder, but I can't get Asianer. All right. I've dated younger guys too. That's always interesting. Sometimes with younger guys, facial hair can be an issue, but I keep it trimmed. So I I dated this guy I met during comedy. That was interesting. I didn't date for like a long time. And then I started doing comedy, and suddenly I'm around all these men of different ages and races. And I date all different types of races. I date I've dated black men, we used to call it having jungle fever. I've dated Latin men, which we call youngle fever. All right. I've dated I've dated Asian men too. That's yellow fever. And I date white men. That's cabin fever. So, right now I'm dating a Jewish guy. And I like that because I thought, I'm not into conspiracies and I'm a liberal. But when QAnon talked about the Jewish space lasers, I was like, I'm dating a Jewish guy. I'd love to get in on that. He's got access to the lasers. He can help me keep my mustache down, Turns out they're not real, so I'm just gonna stay a liberal, but and I'm gonna keep dating him. But I dated, younger men in comedy. Like I remember this guy hit on me and I was grateful. The stereotypes are true. But he invited me to a party. He's like, hey, I'm having a party. You want to come? I'm like, yeah, sure. And he's like, why don't you bring some of your single girlfriends? I'm like, all right. Is it okay if they're widows? That's not because my friends are that old. They've just lived really hard lives, So I did date this younger guy, and I met him after a comedy show. And I remember we were going to have sex. So I put it off for like a week. I checked my schedule, because I didn't want to miss a workout. And I was super excited, though. I hadn't had sex in a long time. So I scheduled it for a week out, right? Because it gave me time to do pre-sex chores. That's how you know you're an adult, when it's like more important to get the housework done. But I deep cleaned every spot in my apartment, including my butt, because I wasn't sure where we were going to do it. Turns out we didn't use my butt. However, I enjoy a clean butt all on my own. So I didn't feel like it was time wasted. I was pretty sure I'd use it for something. I also got a Brazilian wax, which I'd never done before. It was the first time I'd left the country. And that was interesting, getting my pubic hair waxed. We're talking about several decades worth of pubic hair taken off. And that sounds like a tour bus full of boomers taken off those big white shoes that eventually we all have to wear. It was a lot of Velcro ripping and screaming, I remember the esthetician said, geez, that's a lot of hair, like a grizzly bear. And I'm like, come on, am I that hairy, or is that because I caught that salmon in my teeth in the stream? So anyway, I had this guy over, this younger guy, and he wanted to watch porn and sensing a theme here, right? So I'm like, all right. So, we went on the internet and I'm like, what kind of porn do you want to watch? And he's like, I want to watch MILF porn. I'm like, oh, MILF porn, mothers I'd like to fuck. So I was like, all right. And, I thought about it and I'm like, MILF porn. It sounds like it sounds nice, right? Like MILF porn, porn that says, come on over and bring your laundry. You know, thank you. Porn that says, hey, just make sure you have something to eat and a warm coat. MILF porn. MILF porn is only porn that tells you, that has to tell you you're pretty. So, you know, he was, but I watched it and then he wanted to role play. And that's the thing about younger guys. I'll just wrap it up with this note, just this warning in case they have a lot of energy. So, you know, we did a lot of things. And he's like, yeah, I'd like to role play with you in bed. And I'm like, all right. I obliged him because, you know, I was his ride home. But I said, what do you want to do? He said, I want you to play bad mommy. And I was like, okay. So in the middle of the night when he was asleep, I left him all alone and went out with my friends. So, all right, that's all I have. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Laura. Great set. Really great set. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, you know, you're there. It's such a, you know, such a cute set. Such a cute face, you know. You say that a face that not only a bubby can love, right, Abby? I mean, you know, if she was your granddaughter, you would want to like pinch those cheeks, you know.
And she has a clean butt.
Yeah.
And that's very important.
Thank you. Thank you for the positive affirmation.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, moment of truth. Moment of truth. Now we're going to have a vote on, first of all, the first pair of comedians, Erica and Abby. And we're going to hear from Mark. What do you say between Erica and Abby? Who's your favorite?
Well, you know, I had a problem because I have many problems, by the way, but that's another show. I had a problem because, you know, there's like boomers, there's millennials, there's Gen Xers, there's putzes, there's assholes. You know, I mean, I don't know. We're at the end of the alphabet, and now we got to go into the Klingon alphabet. So I don't know if everybody's in the right category. I don't know. Abby, when I listen to Abby, I want a bagel, lox, and cream cheese. I get an urge for that. By the way, Montreal bagels are much better than New York bagels. I want to tell you that. Yeah, can't be disputed, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
And Erica, I love the Hawaiian vibe, but it seems they both have technology problems. One's a boomer, and the other is a what are you, Erica? Like a millennial?
Gen Xer. But thank you.
But Gen Xer, and then a millennial follows after a Gen Xer? I have no clue. There is boomers. What follows after boomers?
Gen X.
Gen X. That's what this show is.
And then Gen X, and then after that is a millennial, right?
Yeah.
There's Gen Z or Gen Y, I think.
Or Gen Z or whatever. I don't know.
There's millennials.
It's very hard. It's just, you know, the show is talking a lot about sex. I got a semi-erection here. I just, I'm all sexed up, and Charlie over here also got an erection. So it's like, anyway, I don't know. It's very hard. It's very hard to between Pubic and Schwarzkopf. It's very hard. It's very hard. Geez, it's like deciding about between my ex and my mistress. I haven't made that decision yet. It's hard. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. You're going to sway me. You go ahead, Jeff. Maybe I'll pick up on what you have to say.
Well, I think I've heard of Abby a lot. She's great. She's very, very good. I don't know. Nothing against Abby's act or Abby. I think Erica. I think I'm partial. I'm slightly partial to Erica.
Okay, based on what you just said, I'm going to say I'm going to be partially for Dr. Abby. So we'll let the audience decide.
Tiebreaker.
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 Okay, so we'll have to go to our
Tiebreaker, heartbreaker.
viewing audience.
Tiebreaker,
Anybody? Abby or Erica? Erica or Abby? Anybody? Abby or Erica? Erica. Jackie says, good job, Erica.
Don't throw me under the bus.
The magic bus.
The magic.
Okay, so we'll go to the next pair. Phyllis and Laura. Oh, we have a late vote. Okay, Tracy versus Simon. Okay, she likes Abby, so I guess
another tie.
I guess the tiebreaker vote goes to Abby. Congratulations, Abby. She's a three-time champion on the Boomer Gen Xer shows.
That's great. So I can get laid in Hawaii. I don't have to shoot. Erica's not going to get pissed off at me. I can get a laid, right? I can get a laid when I come and visit you in Hawaii.
Not now.
Phyllis and Laura.
I didn't vote against you.
Sorry.
Jackie's a big fan. She says she loves Laura. You know, I love it when women say they love other women, you know, because that conjures up a very nice, warm images in my mind, you know. Okay, so
I'm getting around.
And Voren, I would say Laura again. Laura, yeah.
Ugh.
What do you think, Mark?
Whoa, 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 and a whoa and a whoa. Phyllis has a fantastic delivery. I got to say, she's worked the comedy clubs. You can see it. She's like a pro, like Dr. Abby. They're both pros. Not pros walking on the beat outside, but pros in the club. You can see that the professional. And Laura, I want to give you a hug because you know what middle name is Hug. She's an up and comer. She's vivacious. She's full of life. She's happening now. With, I don't know. She's I don't know. Okay, I'll go with Laura.
Time to
I'll go with Laura.
Should have get off the pot. We're running.
I'm going to go with Laura. I'm going to go with
Laura. Laura.
Yeah.
Okay, so Laura it is. Okay, congratulations, Abby and Laura. Okay, yeah. So I want to shout out to Ricky Smooth Morris, if he's still, I don't know if he's still in the stream. And he's going to be featured on my next bro show next week. Very talented podcaster, comedian, king of weird shit. And thank you very much, Linda, for tuning in. She's going to be featured tonight in the bro show. Linda Marcus Smith, featured act. And Tracy says, great show, everyone. Okay, so we're going to say goodbye to our sensational comedians.
Goodbye, ladies. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Adios.
And
Mark, I owe you a blowjob.
Okay.
You're going to have to tell me what that is. I forgot about it.
Erica, Phyllis,
they don't have that in Canada?
They have it in Canada, but I haven't seen it lately.
She's trained.
See you guys in the dollhouse.
Okay, I think we're ready for our next group of comedians. Okay, here we go. Next players on the screen. And we're missing one. We're missing one.
Jackie?
Jackie. Jackie, where's Jackie? She left a message here. Oopsie, whoops. Jackie. Jackie. Okay, Jackie. Okay. Okay. Okay, we had some slight technical difficulties there. And that's it. Shouldn't be a problem. Come on. So, okay, so Mark is known in Montreal as the Out and About, Mr. Out and About Montreal. Okay, and the other day he did in one of his Facebook lives, which sounds more like podcasts. Okay, he made allusion to friends on Facebook. So, hello, Jackie.
Hello.
Jackie's room.
I'm getting
Jackie,
organized.
hello, Jackie's house. Okay.
Hello, Jackie's house.
And,
Home alone.
so,
Hi, guys.
Hello, hello.
Hi,
So if you
Sandy.
remember-
I was so excited when I found out I'm going to be on the show with you. Can't wait to hear what you have. Look at this mess. I need a haircut.
yeah. So, if you remember the sitcom series Big Bang Theory with Sheldon?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It was the brilliant Asperger's. So, I decided to do something similar to what Sheldon did for Facebook friendship agreement, where Sheldon had a roommate agreement.
Ha!
So, first one, section 1. A Facebook friend is deemed by a party who sends a friend request to another party on Facebook. Paragraph 2. If said request is not accepted after 30 days, it will be deemed to be null and void. Paragraph 3. Friend of the second part agrees at the behest of friend of the first part to occasionally comment on friends of the first part's posts. 90 days with no comments will result in the unfriending by the friend of the first part of the friend of the second part. Paragraph 4. Friend of the second part agrees to send birthday greetings to friend of the first part every year. Failure to do so will result in unfriending. Paragraph 5. When friend of the first part DMs friends of the second part, that friend will respond in a delay no longer than 10 days. 3 incidences of social media ghosting will result in the unfriending of the friend of the second part. Paragraph 6. Should friend second part be in the same city and invited to coffee by friend of the first part, friend of the second part shall comply, barring any unforeseen circumstances or valid excuses. So that sums it up. That's it. Okay, so we're going to get to our next comedian. Okay, and we have, first of all, we're going to start with Robert facing off with Sandy, and the topic is Zoomers and Boomers. So I'm going to introduce to you our next comedian. from Pentington, BC. This Gen Xer has since locked down, being hitting the Zoom mics all over. Hopefully not too hard because 5G is coming soon. Robert Schramm is an American actor, musician, singer, songwriter, and comedian. Smart, bold, and funny. Please welcome to your screen, Robert Schramm.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Hi. Hi, my name is Robert Schramm. My friends call me Bob, so of course you guys can call me Robert. How's my hair? Good? Are you okay tonight? Yeah, there you go, Mark. I put it down the middle for you. I hope you liked it. Yes, I am a 52-year-old Generation X bald white man. Balding is supposed to be like an old man's disease, right? But not for me. Even as a Gen Xer, I mean, I started losing my hair in my mid-20s. And to save face, I started shaving my head at 28. Shaving your head is kind of, to hide the fact that you're going bald is kind of a weird concept. It's like throwing a bunch of shit on your lawn to try to hide the fact that your house is a mess. When I was young, I was in the 1980s, man, I was a golden god. I had this full-on parted down the middle, feathered mullet. I was all champagne up front, hard drugs in the back. I used to look like the illegitimate stepchild of Sean Cassidy and Billy Ray Cyrus. For those of you younger folks out there, feel free to ask your parents who Billy Ray Cyrus is. But if you want to know what a Sean Cassidy is, you're going to have to ask a boomer. I know it'll probably take at least 45 minutes, but if you smile and nod a lot, they will eventually get to the point. To be honest, shaving my head was actually a really freeing thing for me to do. I stopped having to pay for haircuts, hair products. I even stopped having to look in the mirror. I mean, why? I look exactly the same every single day. It's not like I'm going to have a bad head day. Although if it is tight enough, you can give yourself a literal head. So 20 years go by, and I never looked at myself in the mirror longer than it took to shave. And then 2020 happened, and life went online. And I started to do my work from home on the computer, staring at myself on Zoom for hours at a time. And I started to notice things like sad, scary things about my face. Like my boss will be talking about this week's numbers, and I'll be looking at the screen thinking, my fucking eyebrows don't match. Like, what's going on with my nose? It's generally straight, but it's angled. So when I look at the camera, I have, and I don't even want to talk about this off-center crevasse I have growing right between my eyes. It's like a giant sweat luge aiming into my left eye. Yeah, 2020 may end up being the year that humanity learned about our own fragility, stupidity, and ultimately our resilience. But for me, it will always be remembered as the year of self-consciousness. But hey, you can't see my male pattern, so got that going for me. So let's see. I have two daughters, a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old. They've been struggling with all this quarantine and social distancing stuff. So, in fact, they're so bored, they've started asking me for things to do, like, mysteries for them to solve. Just funny stuff for them to figure out, like the case of the missing salt shaker. And so I went to the obvious, the traditional classic mysteries, like guess who just farted? And see if you can figure out which of your strawberries I've already licked. And they started getting mad. They were like, come on, Dad, just give us one mystery where the answer isn't you doing something disgusting. And I thought about it, and I came up with one, and I'm kind of proud of it, so I'm going to share it with you guys. I said, okay, girls, one of my two children was planned for, and one was a mistake. See if you can figure out which one of you is which. I called it the case of the unwanted child. Honestly, I was afraid the case of the botched abortion might be a little insensitive. They've been fighting about it all week, but I don't have the heart to tell them they were both accidents. It was at this point that my wife jumped in and she's like, all right, enough of his crap. I've got a mystery for you girls. See if you can guess which one of your daddy's friends is your real father. I don't know. Apparently the smart money's on Dominic. I don't know. So I am a proud member of Generation X. My wife is a millennial, and my kids are both Generation Z. Mark, there's a little help for you. Get an idea of where we're all at. If you add up all of our generation's weaknesses and mistakes, we don't come near touching the damage the baby boomers have done to this world. As a boomer, you guys were forced to drink at the poisonous trough of Reaganomics, which was the reason my generation became the first and only generation of latchkey kids. We would come home from school and nobody would be there. Like, we would roam around the house or the streets for hours from like 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., 5 days a week without any adult supervision. And then you had the balls to complain about how we were turning out. Boomers, I love you. You were our parents, but you get what you raise, and anything that any of you boomers can possibly say to roast us today was your fault. So there we go. As a Gen Xer, I am of an age where words mean different things now than they used to. Like, I remember when a hashtag was just a number sign. For you boomers out there, we're talking about the pound sign. I also remember when the word green meant inexperienced. Like, I told a millennial the other day that I still considered myself a pretty green comic. And they said, oh, that's awesome, dude. How are you reducing your carbon footprint? I told them, unfortunately, I'm doing it by sparing the world the carbon dioxide that would come from audience laughter. If I am honest, the one good thing about the baby boomers is that you will all be dead soon. By the looks of some of you there, Jeff, maybe before I'm done with this set. Like, seriously, have you seen a doctor lately? You might want to look and make sure that will is up to date. Anyway, you guys are supposed to be the first in line to get the vaccines. Why? What did you possibly live for? I mean, let's be honest, boomers. You screwed up this world and the economy so badly that after all the years of abuse and neglect you gave Generation X, you now need us to look after you in your retirement. Oh, hey, boomer, how did squashing all those unions and giving the economy over to the big banks turn out for you? I bet none of you have seen a pension dollar since 2008. You were the sons and daughters of the greatest generation, and then you selfishly destroyed the planet and the ecosystem, leaving the rest of us nothing but existential dread and fast food. And I'll give you that. Okay, you did give us McDonald's, Taco Bell, and KC, so you've got that going for you. And then, as your pièce de résistance, which I almost said correctly, your grand finale, you gave us President Baby Hands Trump, the baby boomers' trump card, so to speak. It's bad enough that you funneled all of our country's wealth into the top 1% of assholes and destroyed our livable future, but you had to go and make sure that our passports are worthless as well. You know, I would have liked to have seen Paris or Venice before I die. Right now, I can't even get into Canada. And I've heard rumors that Mexico is actually going to build that wall now just to keep us out. Well done, boomers. You have certainly hit the trifecta. First, you sold us out with your greed is good. Then you destroyed the working man's economy with your shopping malls and your union busting. And finally, through President Donald J. Trump, you've made the U.S. the laughingstock of the world. But hey, at least you are never slackers. That's my time. Thank you so much. I appreciate having the opportunity.
Thank you. Very good set. Good set. Actually, I didn't tell you. It's been a hidden secret. I didn't tell anybody. I do have a will.
Oh.
It's I will not go gently into that dark night. Yeah. And actually, before you were born, we had our sitcoms were actually funnier than the new ones that came out recently in the past 8 to 15 years or so. You know, I was watching reruns on Tubi of Beverly Hillbillies, and I was laughing. Because I don't remember television being this hokey with the commercials, you know. And then I saw this public, and it was more like a public announcement, not really an advertisement commercial. It was like, something like this. 5,000 people a year die from not wearing their seatbelts. You know. So I started laughing hysterically. I said, "Oh, only 5,000. Well, at least 10 times that many people in the U.S. die from heroin overdoses." Okay, so I'm going to introduce our next act. She's sitting there waiting patiently at the bottom of our screen. Hailing from Baltimore, Washington area. You have to sit down for this stand-up comedian as she brings a quirky perspective to a diversity of topics such as aging, body image, divorce, and family dysfunctional issues. She's the cool aunt that you wish you had. Having appeared at clubs and festivals around the country, which includes DC Improv, Flappers, and the Comic Strip Live, her TV credits include Amazon Videos Comics, Watching Comics, and a recurring segment on ASY TV's Love on Lockdown. Please warmly welcome to your screens this amazing and effervescent Sandy Bernstein.
Hey, thank you. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Oh, so yeah, I was on a show called Comics Watching Comics, but they should have called it Comics Roasting Comics, because the nicest thing they had to say about me was that they didn't think it was possible to have baggy jeans and camel toe at the same time. Oh gosh, guys, I don't really have too much roasting to do of Gen X, because like I looked up the definition in the dictionary and it said, who cares? Why should you? Yeah. I mean, you know, really it's the boomers going after the millennials, you know, because I mean, the Gen Xers are sort of right in the middle and they're really apathetic. They don't give a shit. I mean, you know, you can't even use the popcorn GIF because you'd have to get up and make the popcorn, and they just don't care enough to do that. But anyway, I'm really more comfortable roasting my own generation and myself, you know, because yeah, as Bob or Robert proved, there's a lot you can roast my generation about, and most of it's true. You know, but personally, I am a woman of a certain age, you know, and my eyesight's getting worse. I'm more easily confused. Like, okay, right before I hopped on this call, I'm brushing my teeth and I'm like, oh, this tastes like shit. I look down, it's preparation H. Yeah, I'm brushing my teeth with hemorrhoid cream. So now my gum line's receding, but my ass is minty fresh. Oh, so while we're on the subject of my ass, I bought a pair of thong panties. Big mistake, because my white ass in that thong looked like a head of cauliflower wearing a rubber band. Yeah, I threw those drawers in the trash. Oh, yeah. So Bob was talking about, you know, Zoom calls and working from home. And, you know, I've been working from home for almost a year now. And but it seems like now my colleagues are getting on my nerves more now than when I was in the office. Like, okay, well, one in particular, and that's Patty. And every time I see her ugly face on my screen, I just want to slap the shit out of my monitor. I got to tell you, I mean, okay, Patty is a boomer, right? I mean, she's only a couple years older than I am, but I mean, she alone gives us a bad name. I mean, because it has been 11 months and she has still not figured out Zoom. Okay. I mean, come on now. How hard is it to mute yourself on Zoom? You know, you just click on the little icon of the microphone till there's a line through it. But no, every Zoom meeting with Patty, the first 10 minutes, it's like either ear-piercing feedback or we got to hear her dumbass shrill parakeet, okay? And, I mean, it's driving me and my cat up the wall. I mean, we're both about to lose our shit, okay? And they make us keep our cameras on during these meetings, right? So it's like being forced uninvited to everybody's house. And Patty used to give me a hard time about my messy office. You should see her kitchen. It looks like an episode of Cops. I mean, dirty dishes everywhere, and her Great Dane is licking them. And she's like, I don't have to rinse them before I put them in the dishwasher. And she's got that bird right next to her, and the cage is filthy. And I swear I've seen cockroaches darting around that kitchen. And to think, at the last company potluck, I actually sampled her Jell-O mold.
Oh.
Let me get myself together here. I didn't realize that was going to bring on a gag response. Let me change the topic here, okay? Okay, so I'm on my second marriage, and I definitely made an upgrade when I remarried. This one's an older model, but he's low mileage, low maintenance, and burns a lot less gas. Yeah. Notice how I made the clever fart joke? But yeah, speaking of old farts, though, I am 10 years younger, but I don't consider myself a trophy wife. I'm really more of a geezer pleaser. Oh, guys, how are those New Year's resolutions coming? I made a resolution to get more sleep, but my husband resented the snoring during sex. Hey, his favorite comedian is Bill Cosby. I thought he'd be more receptive.
Oh, damn.
Hey, was that offensive?
No.
There goes another New Year's resolution.
Okay.
But guys, there is another man in my life besides my husband. His name is Cherry Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it all happened so quickly. One minute I'm in bed with my sleeping husband, and the next thing I know, I'm in the kitchen devouring Cherry Garcia. So there I am having a menage a trois with Ben and Jerry. But as soon as the spooning stopped, I was left with guilt and shame and a closet full of clothes I'll never fit into. So I crept back upstairs, but my husband was awake and feeling frisky. He said, "Mr. Peanut requires your attention." I'm like, oh, great. Just what I need on top of Cherry Garcia. Nuts. I mean, here, all I wanted was Ben and Jerry's chubby hubby, not my hubby's chubby. Oh, what's the matter, Mark? Are you more of a Haagen-Dazs guy? Just check.
No, actually, I didn't want you to give your husband freezer burn.
Oh, okay. That's a good one. Yeah. Well, that gave me brain freeze. But yeah, but you know what? This morning I did have a dream that I was cheating, but I woke up before I could finish the cookies. No, I mean, because to me, cookies are better than sex. I get complete satisfaction. There are no performance issues, and all I have to clean up are the crumbs. You know. But I think the number one reason I like cookies more than sex is that I can stuff myself with as many as I please and not be considered a slut. I mean, hey, my husband loves them too, because if my mouth is full, that means I'm not talking. Oh, guys. So I really miss flying. Last time I was sitting next to a complete stranger, I looked down at the laptop, porn, okay? He was embarrassed. I couldn't close my laptop fast enough. I thought he was offended until he asked me for my Pornhub password. Pervert. Oh, so anyway, guys, I don't want you to think I'm this crazy old lady. I mean, I'm more like that cool aunt. You know, the one who smokes a blunt with you and treats you to lunch at Panera. No, I'm just kidding. I would never pay for lunch. Now, my nieces and nephews call me Auntie HC, but they know better than to call asking for money. I'm usually the one hitting them up. Hey, Auntie HC needs cash for weed. I am very uncoordinated. I tried taking a Zumba class online, and I was flailing my arms around so much that my Apple Watch thought I was having a seizure and called an ambulance. How do you think I got the medical marijuana card? Oh, but seriously, I can't handle all that smoke. I don't smoke weed anymore. Not when they're edibles. Oh, so I am 59 now, and when I hear women talk about freezing their eggs, I envision mine as hard-boiled with a green ring around the yolk. What, too soon? More like too late. Oh, guys. But you know something? I look young for 59, but I've been going through menopause forever. And ever since that whole thing started, I've been unable to wear a sweater because I am one. Yeah, but I don't miss getting my period, though. That was like an unwelcome house guest that went through my drawers and cramped my style. But you know something? I am an editor, so I still do need to worry about missing periods. Oh, I know that was a groaner. But you know, I feel like I'm really out of it. Last time I was in a restaurant and the waiter mentioned Cash App, I thought he was saying ketchup because I left my Miracle Ear at home. But you know, I'm smart. I figured it out. He was talking about those little bowls of spiced cashews on the table that are like an appetizer. Yeah, you know, like a Cash App. Clever. So, guys, I'm a lifetime member of Weight Watchers. I still go to the meeting. But one of my pet peeves is when someone says, I shared a dessert with the other 5 people at my table, and I was satisfied after just one bite. Really? To me, claiming to be satisfied after just one bite, it's like saying, just the tip is enough. And I'm not talking about the Cash App waiter. Or am I? Well, listen, guys, I think those edibles are kicking in. I got to get out of here. I'm Sandy Bernstein. Thank you so much. Good night.
Nice, Sandy. Thank you. Thank you. Good set. Good set. All right. Okay, so let's keep this rolling now for our next couple of comics coming up. And they will be actually talking about a very interesting topic, organized, disorganized religion. So I'm going to bring up our next comedian. Okay. Yash Panathi attributes his entry into stand-up comedy to a severe case of midlife crisis. His other options were a toupee, a red sports car, or a young girlfriend. He started out doing comedy in the Philly suburbs and now mostly Zoom shows. He's known to have raised the average age and average time level of all the Zoom rooms he has entered. Please welcome Yash Panathi.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. Thank you. Thanks for having me here. Yeah, so right off the bat, let me say that I am at the very end of the boomer range. And my views on religion are definitely atypical of the boomers. So it might be closer to the Gen Xers, actually. But I'll let you decide where I stand overall, right? Because I have, I want to give you guys an idea of my religious background and what my views are on religion. Right? First of all, I am a Hindu, and one time a good Christian friend of mine, he was kind of poking gently. He said, "You guys have an elephant god and a monkey god? I mean, how does that even make sense?" He said, "How does that even make sense?" I said, "Steve, not everyone gets to have a normal religion with talking snake and a burning bush and a virgin birth, okay?" And yeah, a lovely glass house you are living in, Steve. Would be a shame if someone starts throwing stones at it. Right. So as I said, I was born a Hindu, but now I'm an atheist, which means I had to stop believing in hundreds of gods. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you guys, all of you guys should be thankful that neither the Hindus nor the atheists go door to door and try and convert you guys. I mean, can you imagine that marketing spiel that we could do, right? Oh, by the way, this right here, high concept fusion comedy, okay, where I'm throwing in Yiddish words in the middle of a Hindu set. Right? I mean, so if I were to go door to door, try and convert you guys, I'd knock on the door and say, hey, would you like a choice of multiple gods? Go ahead, pick a god, any god. Right? How about one with 4 hands, 4 heads, multiple births, reincarnation, no commandments to follow, no dress code. You want to leave the religion? Go ahead. We don't care. Right? I mean, Hindus, we don't go, door to door campaigning to convert because we increase our numbers the old fashioned way. We're not using birth control. Okay. Yeah. So I've been in the US for over 30 years now. And my accent is neither here nor there. Okay. I mean, still foreign enough to be told to go back to wherever I came from, but not Indian enough, to make my living as a, one of those fake gurus or a cult leader. Right? By the way, what I can't believe is 5,000-year-old yoga and meditation, are considered new age, whereas Scientology and Mormonism are not. Jeez, I mean, for crying out loud, Mormonism is younger than a lawnmower and a sewing machine, okay? Yeah. Anyway, I remember this one incident very clearly, right? This happened a few years ago. I was getting ready to go to work, and the doorbell rang, and I went to take a look, and there were these 2 well-dressed, smiling gentlemen, and they wanted to know if I heard the good news. Of course, I mean, everybody heard it. Is this the one about the McRib making a huge comeback? Oh, apparently not, because they started taking out some pieces of paper and talked about trying to save me from sin. I see. So I said, here, talk to my dad. I got to go get ready for work. So my dad was visiting from India. So I let them talk, and I went upstairs. And all I'm hearing is Dad's voice. Right? He's talking about Hindu philosophy, the concept of divinity, and the soul is eternal and all that. Not one word from those guys. Right? Half an hour later, I come down, getting ready to go to work. And my dad is just getting warmed up on the topic of reincarnation. And those guys, those 2 gentlemen, they look like they got hit by a truck. Yeah. I'm like, I felt bad for them. So as I was getting ready to leave, they also made an excuse and walked out with me. I said, sorry, guys, would you guys want to come back next week, to continue this discussion? So the one guy goes, is he going to be there? Pointing to my dad. I said, yeah, of course. He'd love to talk to you guys some more. I may be wrong, but I think I heard the guy say, no fucking way.
Ha ha.
And the guy even made that roadrunner sound as he ran back, beep, beep, ran back to his car. Yep. So, by the way, continuing on the topic of religion, right? You guys probably know this, right? Is it the same hell for everyone? I mean, the murderers, rapists, sex traffickers, do they go to the same hell as the one who uses the name of the Lord in vain? Yeah. Or eats the wrong kind of meat? Or even beats the wrong kind of meat? Yeah, I have all these questions about religion, right? By the way, talking about eating the wrong kind of meat, right? One time, my wife and I, we went to a pizzeria, local neighborhood pizzeria. We went and ordered our usual, which is veggie pizza with a bunch of veggies on it. And just as the waitress was about to leave, my wife throws in her usual addendum. She said, make sure there is no beef or pork on it. It's like, is that really necessary? I mean, you clearly ordered a veggie pizza. Why do you have to? My wife, she's a little paranoid. She has a healthy dose of paranoia. Beef, of course, we are Hindus, so we don't eat beef. But pork, she doesn't know if when we get up there, if the heaven or hell decisions are based on Jewish dietary laws, for instance. So that's why she just wants to make sure she stays away from pork as well. Oh well, right? Oh, guess what? When the lady brought the pizza back, sure enough, sausage topping. She added sausage along with the veggies. It's like, what? Of course, perfect opportunity for my wife to lecture me for rolling my eyes earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. I asked the waitress, hey, what's with the sausage? And she goes, oh, don't worry, hon, no extra charge for that topping. I mean, come on, we might be going to hell, not to a Jewish hell, but thrilled that there's no extra charge for this extra topping. Right? Yeah. By the way, regarding this heaven or hell, right? Consider this, okay? What if I told you that there is an island in the Pacific Ocean full of really good-looking men and women, all supermodel types, and they're all just waiting for Americans to come over and have wild, passionate sex with them. That's all they're waiting for. Would you believe it? Yeah, I didn't think so. See, what happens is, unless one guy goes there, does all that, and takes a selfie and posts on his social media saying, hey, this shit is real, come on down, nobody would believe it. If that is the case, then how come you guys are all believing this heaven and hell bullshit just because it was written in a book? Right? I mean, come on. You all the detailed descriptions, some shit somebody made up. Detailed descriptions of torture in hell, or the exact number of virgins all these suicide bombers get in heaven. Come on, really? You guys so gullible for all that shit? I can write shit like that. Anybody can write stuff like that. Anyway, that pisses me off, okay? Anyway, by the way, before I go, right? I mean, one of my friends was upset that I used a lowercase g when I typed God. Yeah, that's what he was pissed about. He said that is disrespecting God. I find this, concept of an all-powerful God who could not protect little kids from their priests, but gets upset when you don't spell God with the proper uppercase G. That is amusing, okay? At the least. Holy crap. I mean, it's almost like God is going, dude, I created heaven, hell, and earth and everything in it. How about a little respect? Would it kill you to use an uppercase G? All right, that's my time, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh God.
The certain things are funny. You hear certain expressions all the time, but for some reason, it sounds funnier when Yash says it. It just sounds funny, because certain things you wouldn't expect by looking at his face. You wouldn't expect certain things to come out of his mouth, and makes it like hilariously funny.
Thanks, Jeff.
So great set, brilliant. And so we're going to bring on our next comedian right there, the bottom left-hand corner of our screen. She's been dying to entertain us all day and forever and the day. And here we go. Originally from Minnesota, don't you know?
Yeah, sure, you betcha.
This very talented, funny lady moved and lived in Hawaii before moving to Sacramento, where she currently resides. She began her foray into stand-up at the ripe young age of 52, don't you know? She is somnambulantly challenged in the early morning and especially inept in preparing her children's lunches, which she packs with her panties and cans of malt liquor. Known as the Blonde Flamingo when she vacations in the tropical islands, where in karaoke she has a reputation for singing popular songs, but with the wrong lyrics. She secretly wishes she was taller, which is dubious, since that would make her the blonde Amazon of the West. Please welcome the impetuous and hilarious Jackie Pearl.
Oh my God. You guys were all so funny tonight. I have to tell you, yes, that the real sin would be that if they actually charged you for that Jewish pizza you got, they would hate that. Yeah. I was born in 1965, so I never know which generation I come from. I just know it's not the greatest because I screw everything up. I was raised Catholic. I didn't know any better. I came from a very small town in Minnesota, don't you know? Yeah, sure, you betcha. And we had two very different races there, and we were very, very. Oh, there was a lot of discrimination. You know, we had the Lutherans and we had the Catholics. They were all blonde and blue-eyed, but we had the Catholic Church, we had the Lutheran Church, we had the Catholic bar, we had the Lutheran bar, and never the twain shall meet. And I didn't know any better because I was raised Catholic, and that's just how it was. And I don't know if you know, but one thing Catholics never talk about, well, two things. We never talk about money or sex. So I spent most of my childhood thinking that my relatives never had sex. And then I did a cousin count. I have 86 first cousins on my mother's side alone. My mother is the youngest out of 16 children. Somebody out there is fucking you guys for real. Like I now look at couches, like my grandmother had the plastic on it, and I was thinking, well, that was just easy cleanup. Like the reason she had the plastic on was somebody's getting laid in the couch this afternoon when you put the kids to bed, you know. My first communion. This is a very weird thing. Very, very weird. You take these second graders. They're all of 6, 7, 8 years old, and you dress them in white like you're going to some Mormon wedding, and then you put them in there. You do a lot of prayers and a lot of yahaus and a lot of genuflectings. It's an aerobic exercise. You know, get up, sit down, kneel, stand up, pray. It was ridiculous. And then they send you one at a time to the back of the room where you get in a dark closet with a man in a dress, and you tell him all of your dirtiest secrets. This is what confession is. You have a second grader in a white wedding dress, and you tell him all of your dirtiest secrets. I'm in second grade, and I'm terrified. Like, this is like my, like, I have to get this right. And I walk down there. I have nothing to say. I'm in second grade. Like, what am I going to say? I didn't eat my Cheerios this morning. Like, I don't know. So I walked into this closet and I just started lying. On my first confession, I just started making up the worst. I don't even know to this day what I said, but it must have been awful. I started making up the worst lies I could think of. Like, you know, we didn't have porn back then. It wasn't that sort of thing. But I started making up the worst, like I killed somebody. I don't know. And he told me to say like 5 Hail Marys, and I don't even know. Don't rosaries look an awful like anal beads? How did that happen? But anyway, so I walk out of the closet and I sit down, and I know I failed. I failed this test. I completely failed this test. And I was absolutely certain of it the next Sunday, because we went to church every Wednesday and Sunday, because you can't get enough God in your life, evidently, because you're a liar. And talking about anal beads when it's rosary. So I went to mass with my parents, and I sat down, and I knew that priest was talking to me because he told this story of, he said, you know, lying and gossiping is really bad. And I was like, oh, I just told a lot of lies last Wednesday in confession. And he said, here's what you need to do. You need to go home and you need to grab a feather pillow, and you need to rip it open, take it out in your backyard, and throw it all over. And he was telling the story as if he had told this to someone before. And he said this woman had gone out, she ripped open her feather pillow, she let it fly everywhere. And he said, and to this day, this actually makes sense. It's the only sermon I've ever heard in church that made any sense to me ever. He said, now come back in a week and talk to me. So you have to go back in the closet and talk to this man in a dress. And he said that he said to her, now go collect all those feathers. Go collect all the feathers that you've released. And she went, I can't. There's been a storm. It's rained. You know, they're everywhere. And he said to her, that is what lies and gossip is like. You never know where they're going to be. And that's the only thing I've ever heard religiously that ever made any sense to me. And I think of that every time I lie and gossip, which is frequently. I went to Catholic schools for 9.5 years of my life. At the age of 16, my mother wanted to send me to the all-girls Catholic school. That's where all the sluts went. I mean, there was no way I was going there. I still had my hymen. I had nothing to confess in that area. And I said, no, I'm not going. I'm not going. And she said, you have to go. We will lose our first seat in the church if you don't. And I was like, oh my God. So I went to the law library at the age of 16 and found an old agrarian law that said that if you worked on a farm, you could quit school at 16. It's probably still in the books. This is real stuff. And I told my mother that I was getting a job at the dairy farm down the street, and screw you, I'm not going to school unless I got to go to the public school. So I did get to go to the public school. Yeah, I'm old enough to know, I'm old enough to kind of remember when yoga was actually not a religious thing. It is not now. I mean, you hear yoga, right? And it's just a bunch of white bitches in there. And their stretch pants going for hikes. It's crazy to me. Yeah. What else do I want to tell you about? I'm also old enough to remember when we could afford rent and tuition and not put ourselves in debt completely. My kids, they're so funny. They rib me a lot. I think they're actually the comedians in the house. And they were talking to me about maybe they might be Jewish. We have the last name Pearl. So maybe they might be Jewish. They didn't know. And actually, when we researched it, we found a grandfather, great grandfather, who was in Germany and probably was Jewish, but decided to become Catholic. And I guess everybody knew that back then because he didn't know when to stand up, sit down, fight. You know, he just in church, he had no idea. But so my kids wanted to find out what their heritage was. And so for Christmas 2 years ago, I bought them all a DNA test, right? And I gave it to them. And I said, just swab your cheek. And then you give it back to mommy. She'll send it in. She'll pay for it because only moms have money, I guess. And we'll get it back. But then I screwed it up completely on purpose. I took those swabs and I swabbed the mailman and I swabbed my cat and and all three of them different. Now I have 3 kids, same dad as far as I know. And they all got their results back and they were sitting at the table and none of them matched. They all have different DNA. And I just got up from the table and went, oh, well, you guys figure it out. I don't know what happened. So they're not speaking to me anymore. Religion to me is often a lot like fairy tales. And we tell our kids a lot of things. We tell them Santa is real. You know, God is real. Don't spell it with a lowercase g. What's wrong with you? You're going to hell, and I don't know which hell you're going to. I always spell God Gawd because nobody knows what I'm talking about. I figure that's a good way around it, right? But yeah, fairy tales. I'll tell you this one last story. So there's a thing called a tooth fairy, which to me is bizarre. Like we tell our kids, and our parents told us, that some otherworldly creature climbs in the walls, steals body parts, and leaves you money. Like, there's no kidney fairy, right? There's no river. Like, what on earth are we telling these kids? It's insane. So, because I'm such a lousy parent and I do pack malt liquor and dirty panties in my kids' lunches, I always tried to go extra on these things. I didn't know any better. So when my kids lost teeth, I had a little jar of glitter, like that you got from Joann's or Michael's, and I would sprinkle it on the dollar bills that I would leave under their pillows. So they'd have blue glitter, and they'd wake up and, oh my God, the tooth fairy was here. One weekend, my youngest daughter lost 4 teeth. 4. I mean, she was balling. She was making bank. She had a whole $8. They got $2 a teeth back then. I only got a quarter, but we upped with, whatever. And I went to pick her up from school, and the teacher said to me, Jackie, your daughter brought money to school today. And I was like, oh no, because that's a no-no, And I was like, oh no, I'm so sorry. And she goes, yeah, I let her keep it. And I was like, oh, finally, a teacher who can relate to me after, packing tequila bottles in their lunches and having to go to the principal's office more often as an adult than I had to go as a child. I was like, oh, thank God. And she goes, yeah, I kind of didn't want to touch the money. It's dirty. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. Okay, all right. And she goes, yeah, Jackie, the next time you and your husband go to the strip club, you might want to wash those dollar bills before you give them to my kids. I've been cleaning glitter off the desks all fucking day. And anyway, that's my take on religion. I don't know how it's any different than the tooth fairy. At least God doesn't come take your kidneys or teeth and leave you money.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Good.
Thank you.
So, Jackie, can I say one thing quickly?
Please.
I know you. I've been, people yelled at me saying that we Indians stole tech support jobs from, other people, and which is fine. I totally understand because, middle-aged white ladies stole the yoga instructor jobs from us. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed. And think we invented it somehow. I don't know.
Thanks, guys. So we're going to have now a moment of decision time between Sandy and Robert. Give me the Reader's Digest version, Mark.
Well, Robert evidently has a resentment that he never was old enough to go to Woodstock. He was, to get high and, smoke some joints and whatever. So, and they're in between millennials and boomers, and they're like confused what to do. So it's like a Gen Xer. You know how they watch Zoom? They're like too lazy to get off the couch. At least I have a bald spot, Robert. I wear a hat. Don't be so lazy. Get a hat. The hippies have the best hats. Sandy is, it's good to know that Sandy is attempting sex. And, it's like the religion, by the way, that goes for Jackie and Yash. The religion of the 60s was free love. Nobody charged each other. It was wonderful. You can start charging now, Sandy, because now we're getting into the pension area. Anyways, you have to supplement the pension.
Yeah.
So what I would have to do with Robert, it's a conundrum. It's a conundrum. What do we know Gen Xers by? I mean, what's their claim of fame? By the way, I never voted for Trump. First of all, I'm in Canada. Number two, I'm a liberal in some areas. I would never vote for Trump. So we didn't give you Trump. Your guys gave you Trump. Those are the guys that stormed the Senate. We had no problem. We didn't do that in Canada. We just watched the guys that stormed, the 75 million guys that voted for Reagan, as you put it, and Trump. We have nothing to do with that. We're just sitting here. We're just like on our CBD oil. That's it.
I just know that most of our parents are the ones watching Fox News and making those votes. So
we don't watch Fox News except for Jeffrey. Jeffrey watches Fox. Am I right, Jeff?
No, I watch Fox. No, I watch a different kind of news, not Fox News, Foxy News.
Foxy News.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's nice to know that at least Sandy's
I think
having
Fox
sex.
News in Canada is just looking out your window at all the snow and watching the foxes walk by.
The foxes don't watch. It's too cold. They're up north somewhere and harassing the moose. So at least Robert, I don't even know if Robert has sex. I know Sandy's attempting to have sex. So
I have 2 daughters.
Yeah, well,
He had sex twice.
Yeah, he did.
exactly.
Don't
And
share all that against you.
it's the frequency of sex, Robert. Anyways, if I had to choose between Robert and Sandy, I'll go for, you ruined it, Robert, against baby boomers. You ruined it. I'd have to go with Sandy.
Oh.
Mark, were you doing that on comedy,
Okay,
or
it's
do you want to have sex?
very, very close.
Was that what?
I said, Mark, are you basing your judgment on comedy or who you wanted to have sex with?
I haven't had sex since Gen Xers days.
Good job, Sandy.
Oh, thank
Good
you.
job, Robert.
Okay, very, very, very close between Robert and Sandy. Okay, we don't have any comments from the peanut gallery. So, yeah. So, I think we'll go with Sandy. Very good job, Robert. Robert, by the way, is going to be appearing on the Bro Show later on in a couple months or so. So watch.
You can redeem yourself then, Robert.
On the Bro
I
Show.
will certainly do my best, sir.
Sandy,
That's how I talk to all the boomers in my life.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, if we're not Zoomers, we're resumers. Okay, so it's been a great show. Very good.
Yash.
Very good. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Well, we have to decide, Jeffrey, between Jackie and Yash.
Sandy. Yeah, I said I said Sandy.
Yeah, but now we have to do Jackie and Yash, no? We have to decide?
I think you're having a senior boomer moment. No, I said Sandy.
Oh, yeah, okay, sure.
Right. But there's another matchup. There's Jackie and Yash.
I said, okay. So, oh, yeah, and then, oh boy, now, oh boy, I doubled down there.
I think the Gen Xers just won right there.
I think so.
Sandy.
Give it to Yash.
Oh boy, I don't know. Is this contagious? I don't know. So between Yash and Jackie, which one? Jackie, Yash, Jackie.
Jackie and Yash, Jackie and Yash. You know, there wasn't much talk about boomers versus Gen Xers. It was all about religion. It was like a religious. It was like, you know, it's like a theological discussion. By the way, you must have heard this one. 2 Jews get shipwrecked on an island, and they built 3 synagogues, one for each denomination, and one for a denomination both of them wouldn't go to anyway.
That's typical, yeah.
So it's like, I like a religion that has the best food, to tell you the truth. You know, I mean, anytime I'm invited to, let's say, a mosque or whatever, I make sure that there's like a spread out there. So whatever Hindu food is out there, whatever Lutheran food is out there. Do they have Lutheran food? I have no clue.
Okay.
I'm game. I'll go to anybody's bar mitzvah, conversion ceremony, circumcision, whatever. I'll go if the food is right. So between Jack A and Yash, I'll go for Yash. I mean, no, I'll go for Jack A. How's that? I'll go for Jack A.
Oh, you just missed it, honey. Come over. We'll make dinner.
Yeah.
We'll feed him. We'll show him all. I'm sure
Feed.
is much better than mine.
I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I was confused because Hindu food sounds very appetizing. But I had to make a decision.
I would come over to your house and eat Yash before I'd go to my own grandmother's house.
It was very, very close. Okay. And we only have one person viewing. Okay. Well, we'll go to our viewing audience just to see what they will say. Whoever is viewing, the one viewer, can you present yourself with Jackie or Yash? Jack? No? Okay. So I guess we're going to have Jackie come back again.
Oh, good one.
In the next show, which will be March
Good job,
20th, right here on this station.
I want to tell you guys that it's because Valentine's Day is tomorrow. I sort of had to vote for the women. That's just the way it is.
No, she was good.
Yash and Robert, it was a pleasure meeting you.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Yeah.
Hey,
Sandy,
guys.
always good to see
Everybody.
you. I love your stuff so much. You are
Great
such
show.
a
thank
funny
you.
lady.
Yeah.
Hey, Yash, let's get together on Facebook and vote for each other later.
All right. Bros before hoes.
Oh.
Okay. Actually, I did
All
go.
right, guys.
I did
Have
go
an
to
awesome weekend.
Hindu
Happy
temple.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Love to you all.
Happy Valentine's Day, you guys. Have fun.
Thanks,
Good meeting
everybody.
you. Bye-bye.
Everybody.
Bye.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
That's it. Turn upside down. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got your tie-dye shirt on.
Yeah.
So you're like very 60s, very Woodstockish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My boomer. It's part of the boomer uniform.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. So that was nice.
Okay, Mark. Thanks for coming on.
Okay,
You're
Zeigesund.
in top form.
Thank you. Zeigesund, and
Yep.
have a good Valentine's Day tomorrow
Yeah. Happy Valentine's Day
with myself.
with yourself.
I'll be grabbing myself tomorrow
Yeah. Okay.
with chocolates. I'll have chocolates and I'll grab myself.
Yeah.
Okay. Speak to you later, man.
Yeah. Okay, and that was it. The Boomer Gen X show. And we have the Bro Show coming up at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with some fantastic, amazing guests. And tune in for the next Boomers meets Gen X Comedy Face-Off, March 28th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on StreamYard, Facebook Live via StreamYard. And good night, everybody. Stay safe, stay cool, stay warm.